do it. Memaden. Hello. Good morning. Welcome. You all get to suffer through my bad handwriting now. Hi, Emmy. How are you? I'm gonna go ahead and hide this off to the side over here. That's good. I'm doing fine. How was Visage yesterday? I'm gonna turn that down. Alright. So as the title says, motion sickness. Oh no. I'm sorry. As the stream title says, this is going to be our first little study session for Irish. And I think the best place to start is with the pronunciation. Because the pronunciation gets a little wacky. Oh, you got scared last. Good. Good. I mean, oh no, that's, oh god. I'll have to look at the VOD. And I think a good place to start is first going over the concept of broad and slender consonants. Because it's kind of where a lot of the crazier stuff comes from. So I think if we get that out of the way first, kind of builds a good basis for what the rest of the stream is going to be, you know? So in Irish, vowels kind of have two purposes. The first purpose is, of course, to be heard. Now that kind of goes for vowels in all languages. Is to be heard. And the second purpose of vowels is to inform pronunciation. And what I mean by that is the consonants surrounding vowels. No. Vowels surrounding consonants. Still a little bit tired. The vowels surrounding consonants sort of inform how that consonant is pronounced. Consonant pronunciation comes in two flavors: slender and broad. So for this little section, we'll be using little color coding. slender. For slender syllables, we'll be using this nice red. And for broad, syllables, we'll be using this nice blue. So let's take a fun word. Like, I don't know. Shack. Shachtane. It just means weeks. It's nothing fancy. We're talking about vowels and inform whether or not a consonant is going to be slender or broad. For slender consonants, they're going to be sort of surrounded by E, I, or E with a fada, or I with a fada. We'll get into fadas when we start talking about the vowels themselves. And then when we're talking about broad consonants, they're going to be surrounded by A, O, U, or A, fada, O, fada, U, fada. It would appear that the way I write has become my downfall yet again. So, that in mind, let's break down the shektani here. Not the right pronunciation, but it's what happened. There we go. Maybe thinking to yourself, ever, what the fuck? How'd you break that down? Well, sometimes what you run into in Irish is that vowels. Excuse me. What are you chewing on over there? Yeah. Hmm. So vowels won't always be pronounced. I remember right. In this context, the E in this first section is ignored. It's only there to inform that this S is going to be slender. Makes it more of an SH sound. Then the same goes for this I here. It just means to inform that this N is going to be, um, not even that, because it just goes along with the spelling, I think, is why that I is there. I don't know. I'm not the one who made the word. Spelling is kind of a crapshoot sometimes. For the N, it's just regular N, followed by a long E sound. So this part in here, these are both going to be slender. I cannot. And this bit in the middle, this is going to be broad. So it just kind of makes it achta. And there's no better way to write it out than how it already is. So it's shaktani. Shaktani. Again, the E and the I in this word are both ignored because their only purpose is to inform the pronunciation of the consonants around them, those being S and N. You could make the argument that, this I with the Fada here can also inform. Spelling is complicated in all languages. That's some coffee. Give me a second here. If at any point you need me to slow down, please let me know. And I can't imagine I'm going to be speaking very fast. Because I am tired. But still. Sometimes I get a little lost in what I'm trying to do. So, with the concept of broad and slender out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing today, which is pronunciation. We're going to start with the vowels, because that's kind of the easiest place to start, is the vowels. So you've got your A, E, I, O, U. Not sometimes Y. There is no Y in Irish. Like not even as a loan letter. It's just not there. So you don't have to worry about it. Why? Why is there no Y's? Well, so Irish didn't really start. Things didn't really start being written down in Irish until the church came around. And I believe at the time the church was still using the old Roman Latin alphabet, which didn't have all of the letters that it has today. Irish, standard Irish, no loan letters, only has 18 letters. We're gonna go a little off track here. We'll get back to that. So the 18 letters are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, L, M, N, O, P, R, S, T, and U. 18, yeah. No K. It is, so K is a loan letter. There are 6 loan letters. Are J, K, again, tired, letters hard. Okay. Q, V, W, X. That's not an X. X, and Z. K is one of those. It doesn't really see a whole lot of use. I think in the dictionary I have, it has 1 entry. I don't really know that Q gets a whole lot of use either. These are mainly for foreign words or names. Two notable examples of loanwords in Irish are job and jeep. Job, job meaning job, and jeep meaning jeep. It's a little weird. But yeah, no Y. You know what, this feels like it'd be important to include somewhere along the line. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. At any rate, back to the vowels here. A, E, I, O, U. Now, as mentioned before, there are also longer forms of these vowels, which have accents over them called fadas. Fada in Irish just means long. You can imagine, it just lengthens the sounds that these vowels make. The sounds that these vowels make are pretty simple. A, E, I, O, A. A, E, I, O, A. A, E, I, O, A. Now, easy enough, right? But there are some 2-letter combinations that make these same sounds because, again, not every vowel is pronounced. Let's go over some of those combinations. For your ah sound, can also be, and if I could remember how to switch back and forth, that'd be great. Also have a I. In this context, the I is only used to inform the pronunciation of the consonant next to it. You only pronounce the A. Same with EA. Again, you don't worry about the E, only worry about the A. I don't think there's any real pattern to which letters you pronounce and which letters you don't pronounce. It's sort of a, like, either you know or you don't, you know? And if you don't know, well, now you know. Let's go ahead, do the same for the rest of our letters here. So your combinations for E are a bit more limited. So you've really only got E, I. Again, the I is just there to inform the pronunciation of the next consonant. The I has got a few more options. I'm still kind of learning how to use this. So for the I, you have OI, UI, and IO. For the O, it's really just the O. That's all you really got. The O doesn't have any fancy combinations to go along with it. It's just O. You see an O, not surrounded by any other vowels. You're just going with the O sound, or the O sound. Finally, remembered this time. Finally, for you, just I, you. So all these letters that you see here, they're going to make the same sound. A, E, O, A. Now, with the Fada letters, things get a little crazy, get a little out of hand. Now, for these long vowel sounds, you can have combinations of 2 or 3 vowels that will make these sounds. And for those, you have A, Fada, I, E, A, Fada, or E, A, Fada, I. all these here will make the same long sound. Long got fada I fada e and e I. Now I fada is where it really pops off. For I fada, you got I fada o, a o. For some reason, a I fada, o I fada, u I fada, a I fada o, a o I, and u I fada o. The rest of them are a bit more reasonable, don't worry. Until we get into diphthongs. So for the long O, to have O fada I, E O fada, and E O I. Accidentally activated the bottom navigation bit there. Givna, what are you? I'm sorry, Givna's trying to get into stuff back there. U fada. I U fada, and I U fada I. So, all these letter combinations, they're all gonna make the same sounds. A, E, O, Coffee. I fucked something there. Okay, there we go. Let's try that again. What? Okay. We get everything that time. Yes, we did. A little smaller still. All right, any questions so far before we get into the diphthongs? This is really an opportunity for me to just drink my coffee. All right. So for diphthongs, there's really only two-letter diphthongs, which is IA and UA. Ia and Ua. You may be familiar with IA with the name Ian, the Irish form of John. So if you ever see anyone pronouncing it Ian, they are objectively wrong. It is morally correct to put them on blast for it. For legal reasons, that is a joke. But there are three-letter versions of these diphthongs. For Ia, IAI, and for Ua, UAI. Now there are several other diphthongs for ow and I that are much longer. Some of them are like 6 letters, using both vowels and consonants. How anyone came up with that system? Entirely beyond me. Like, just I couldn't even begin to tell you. I couldn't even begin to guess how or why that came about. But it did. And we are now stuck with it. One of the 6-letter diphthongs is straight up AIGHEA. That's all one syllable. And you're meant to pronounce it as I. Again, I don't know. I don't understand how or why, but it's just what happened. There are some Fada diphthongs though, which are much easier. A Fada and I Fada. Pretty much just E A. Ya. Yas. What we're going for with these. I O Fada. I O Fada I. Kind of the same thing. EO. EO. Eyo. UA Fada. Ooh, you can probably see where this is going. There are several others. That one, they don't really matter as much. Ooh, oh. Ooh. Actually, it's gonna bug me if I don't know, so give me a second here. U A I and I U A I. Did that one. And then just U O I. So yeah, some vowel sounds get more combinations to make those sounds than others. To how that's decided, again, this is beyond me. I'm gonna come right out and say it. Sometimes I'm not convinced that Irish was ever intended to be written down. Like when they first started speaking it, because they did have a writing system before the church came around. It just wasn't used very much. It was mainly used for like marking property or roads or stuff. And it was carved into stones on the edges of stones. Actually, maybe that can be a video or a stream sometime, kind of going over the Ogham script. Actually, no. Tom Scott did a pretty interesting video on how Ogham was set up to be used for text, because naturally, paper isn't a 3D object, at least, you know, not on a meaningful scale. It's not a 3D object, so it's a bit difficult to write a research paper on Ogham in sort of the original way that Ogham was intended to be written, so to speak. But let's go ahead. Get all of it. I did. Oh, got too much. One of these days. Let's switch to the last one on this. Ooh, this is getting kind of cluttered. So moving on from the vowels, we now go into the consonants. The really fun part. Coffee. Because, as discussed earlier, these sort of have... sorry. Consonants have two different ways of being pronounced. Well, most consonants have two different ways of being pronounced. There is a slender form and a broad form. Easiest way to explain the difference is kind of, how much space you have in your mouth when you're pronouncing the consonants. Some of them, the pronunciation differences are pretty subtle. And so it's complicated. Gotta be away from me to just draw a straight line, yeah. No, that's not gonna do it. Hey, figured it out. Let's go. That's not that space. So let's start with B. Now there are some more letter combinations that we're going to be going over here because they still apply. So B and BP. Those are going to be our B sounds. So for Slender B, it's kind of close to just like a regular B, you know? Slender B, that's the best way for me to describe it, is just regular B. Oh. Here we go. Hi, Aurora. Good morning. Oh. For the Slender B, think like beg, bon, b, bia, bi. Sort of just a short b sound for the Slender B. For the broad V, it's more like a full mouth thing. Blah. Blah. So think like bod, or even better, bon versus bon, bon versus bon. Right? It's kind of like I said, most of these are going to be subtle differences. Not going to be, you're not really going to notice them if you're not paying attention. For C, the slender pronunciation is kind of a k, more of a K than it is than what we normally associate with C. Think a sharper sound for a slender C, more like K. K, kid, can, curd, curt, kin. When we go into the broad C, that's sort of more what we consider a C sound. So like ka, para, cola, quish, kun. For F, this is one of those where it gets kind of like complicated, but it's supposed to be F, P, describing the difference is kind of difficult for me, at least. The best way to think about it is just how open the inside of your mouth is as you're making these sounds. It pretty much just means the difference between fikje and fud. Fi, fa, fi, fa. Probably write that a little bit better. With G and GC, again, it's another subtle difference. For the slender G, think about how you pronounce goal. That's kind of what you're looking for in the slender G, goal. Gale, gear, hug. Thank you for the hydrate, Aurora. For the broad G, what we're thinking more is how we pronounce the G in jog. And we got to think goal versus jog. Words for that example, we've got Gardine, gone, Gort, G. I see. Oh. You do that with all of them, huh? That's weird. Goal versus jog. Probably our easiest one going to be H. There is no slender or broad. Oh god, what did I do? There is no slender or broad form for H. It's just regular old H sound. Again, the easiest one we've got here. I'm gonna run out of room here. For the L sound, slender versus broad, again, this is going to be a real subtle difference. For our slender L, think about how you would pronounce the L in like. With the broad, think about how you would pronounce it in skill. Like versus skill. Again, it's a subtle difference, but here, good example. Oh, I did it again. Son of a bitch. Hold on. Oh, it has a little side thing here. An example of how pronunciation can make the difference in the meaning of a word. You only consider leoar, word for books. Again, since the L is followed directly by an E, which goes unpronounced, the L in this context is slender. Doesn't really matter what the rest of the word is, because that's not the important part. Versus lower. Since in this case, the L is directly followed by an A, a pronounced A, it's broad. In this case, because the L is broad, this doesn't mean books, it means speak. So subtle differences making, making some things mean completely different words. Where were we? That's right. On to M and MB. Again, these are making the same sounds. And once again, this is a matter of sort of how open your mouth is when you're saying them. For M, the slender form is just kind of a regular old M. Like you would say for man or me or meat, right? Your broad M is going to be a bit more open in the mouth. So for our slender, we've got me, marica, mile, minic. And then for your broad M, you have more of a mall, moya, more, muit, muir. So it's just more open in the mouth when you're saying that M sound. The same applies to N. You're pronouncing the slender form of N. It sounds closer to just regular old N. Niert, Nechan, Nice. And then when you're doing your broad form, a bit more open than that. Ned, Nar, Noi, Nos, Nu. Again, same with P. Pal, Petrol, Pictorlon, Thing. Those are all words that start with a slender P. For broad, Papper, Park, Port. So the broad P is a bit more pop, a bit more open. The mouth, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So we're gonna start getting into more major differences here. For example, S. No, I completely skipped R. How could I do that? R. So your slender R is going to be more of a roll. A rolled R. While your broad R is just going to be a regular old R. For slender, we got mare, fear, far. No, that's broad. Yeah. Fear, I guess, is the one we're going to go with, because that is, in fact, slender. For broad, far, ruga, riv. Yeah, real easy on that one. Kind of the same with S. The only one that really does anything weird is the slender S, where it's going to be SH. Then the broad, just going to be your standard S. Slender S, you got she, shot, shin, shis. Also names like Seamus, Sean. We're going to be starting with slender S's. Then your broad S. Like I said, just going to be like the regular old S. So soccer, soar, soar, swim. No. Why? Alright, technical difficulties here. I'll just live with it. With the T's. T's are kind of where we get more into the subtle differences again. I feel like I skipped a letter somewhere. I skipped D. What the fuck? So for D, we've got D and DT. Is the two letter that'll make the same sound. Your slender D is going to be kind of an in between of D and T. It's going to be a bit sharper, but it won't have the t to it that T does. It's really the best way I can think of to describe it. It's complicated. Dia. I don't know how I keep forgetting about that. And then the broad D, that's why I think of it as like a more open, regular D. Data, do, dona, duene. I'll just mark that down as a regular D, just to keep things simple, Okay, now we're back on track here. T. Another subtle difference with the T sounds between slender and broad. When it comes to that, it comes down to sharpness. So your slender T is going to be a bit sharper It's going to be very t. It's going to be very t. Te. Tenga. Ti. Tennis. And then your broad T is going to be closer to a regular T. Tug. Tart. Tog. Tu. You know. And this is where things start to get a little interesting. Yeah. So for two letter combinations, there are some of them where it's easier to think of them as a single letter than it is to think of them as two separate letters. As you see, we have a few of those already on here. There's a lot of sounds in Irish that don't really fit with English, you know. They don't really make sense from an English speaker's standpoint. But then again, it doesn't have to. It's an entirely different language. So for BH and MH, for BH and MH, the slender form is going to be a V sound. V, Vrish, Iver, my own name, ever. But their broad form kind of is more of a specific W sound, and we'll get to that in a second. So the broad form is this is this W at the beginning of wait. You've got whale, sowl for those ones. And this more specific one here, E, H, F. No, I think I'm getting things mixed up here. Let's just back a bit. I don't think the specific W sound really makes a difference. The source I'm using here kind of makes a distinction. The source I use for pronunciation work doesn't make a distinction. Oh no, it's all very confusing. Before we end today, I'm going to go ahead, drop links in the chat for pronunciation resources for kind of your own time. You know what I mean? Just to make my life easier, I'll just lump these all together. But still, V and W. CH. There is no ch sound in Irish. What you get instead is closer to the German CH sounds in ich. For the Slender version, where is it? Fiche, fichel. And then for the broad, you get more Bach. Honig, Trolke. DH and GH are very interesting. You know, two letter combinations you wouldn't exactly associate as making the same sounds. Again, in English, you wouldn't associate them having the same sounds. The Slender pronunciation is closer to a Y. Furious. Trust me, it's spelled DH. While the broad version, the broad pronunciation of these letter combinations is more of a ch, cha, chwit, chwiv. Oh God, how would I even write that down? Like phlegm? Is that offensive? Could be. Probably is. And then we have NG. And the difference in the Slender and the broad pronunciation is sort of difference in pronunciation between, ing, ing. Just, at the end of the word. Like singing, burring, versus the NG sound in the middle of words like hunger and language. Again, a bit of a subtle difference, but it still makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes, I assume. Now here's kind of a fun one, kind of a quirky one for you. If you encounter FH in a word, doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter what vowels are around it. It's just not pronounced. It makes no sound. It's just kind of there, this is another one of those things where it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, coming from the perspective of an English speaker. I'm not even sure how much sense it would make to someone who natively speaks Irish, but it's one of those things. It could just be left over from an older time in the language. Um, there are loan letters that just kind of make the same sounds that they make in English. Z makes a Z sound, J makes a J sound, K is a K. X, Y. Well, no, not Y. Y isn't in, Y isn't involved. Um, yeah, I think that's about all I had prepared for today, as far as pronunciation goes. Can try doing some words, or hmm, I don't know. I kind of want to give myself some time to rest after this, because setting all this up has kind of been an adventure. Getting everything all put together here. Let me drop some links in the chat here for different resources to help with pronunciation. This first one is going to be text to speech, specifically made to work with Irish. So if you ever see an Irish word confused as how to pronounce it, um, slap it in there, give it a go. It's got voices for the three major dialects of Irish. Um, this this next one is audio that's meant to go with the textbook I'm using. The textbook I'm using is Colloquial Irish. This textbook audio recorded by native Irish speakers, again to be used with the Colloquial Irish textbooks. Um, you don't need to have the textbooks. Pronunciation is pretty well covered in tracks 2 and 3 in there, so keep that in mind. And yeah, that's about what I got for today. This is exhausting for me. But thank you everyone for coming today. We'll be doing League of Legends here in the next couple hours with some friends over at Huntress Spectre channel. Let me do a quick shout out for her so you can get that channel name. Boom, boom. Nope, that's not right. One day I'll know how to properly shout out my friends. One of these days I'll know how to do things. I know how to do things, I swear. Ah. You didn't hear that. Yeah, it's so used to underscores being the thing. Yes, there she is. Like I said, that'll be about hour and a half here. 1 p.m. PST. If you want to watch that all go down. See just how bad I am at your newfangled video games. I'll have a schedule. Kivna, stop chewing on that. I have to go get my rabbit off of the wall. So thank you everyone who could make it today. I'll have a schedule out tomorrow, possibly, maybe tonight. I don't know. Fuck around and find out. I am going to go try and wake up a little bit more. Spooky wall rabbit, exactly. I'm going to go try and wake myself up a little bit more. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.